Can you believe it is November already? Oh my gosh. Welcome to another episode of Free Friday Tidbits. This is the first Friday in November, and this month, our theme is the last of the primary characteristics, sensory systems, and sensory motor integration. Now, I want you to think about times that you have been in different environments. Say, for example, how do you feel about yourself? How do you feel like the comfort level within your own skin when you're out in the country walking down a dusty road? The sun is out, the birds are chirping, it's relaxing, time seems to stand still, and everything is just peaceful. Now think for a moment about being in the heart of New York City on New Year's Eve. There are thousands of people. Everyone's excitement level is ramped up to the max. You can't go 2 feet without bumping into someone or being jostled by someone. There's a million different ways to describe this sense of being closed in. If you've had to rely on public transportation to and from work, you know this feeling well, right? Or in a shopping mall at Christmas time, you know this feeling well. And I want you to think about what it would be like if you could not escape that environment. I don't know about you, but when I'm in a super crowded place like that, I get uncomfortable, right? And I want to flee and go back to that country road where everything is peaceful and soothing. But there's different strokes for different folks, right? Some people really like the jostling and the busyness and the noise levels. And I have to admit, when I was a teen and in my early 20s, I kind of did too. I've outgrown it. I'm thankful for that. I find that as I get older, I'm less and less tolerant of being in super crowded, super busy, noisy, chaotic environments. And when I find myself in such a space, my instinct is to go flee somewhere peaceful and quiet. But imagine what it would be like if there was no getting away from it. If, for our kids, going to the classroom, is a place where you're bombarded. There's posters on all the walls, so many competing bright colors. My dog is choking. You okay, Bubby? Okay, he's fine. Well, that totally sidetracked me. So, but our classrooms for our kids, they're designed to be stimulating. But if you're someone who's overly sensitive to stimulation, whether it be all the things visually competing for attention, the teacher kind of gets lost in all that because there's so many things to look at, right? Or the noise level. If you're super sensitive to noise, then you can hear an eraser on the paper from the other side of the classroom and it might bug you. Kind of like that chalk on the blackboard, kind of, that just makes you, ugh. Yeah. Imagine spending all of your days like that, where everything was just too much, too loud, too bright, too busy, too smelly, right? If things that most people don't even notice drive you batty, like the tags in the back of your pants or the back of your underwear or the back of your shirt or the seam of the top of the socks on top of your toes. If things like that drive you batty and there's no escaping it, because let's face it, we don't live on nudist colonies. We have to wear clothing. We have to tolerate some of the things that drive us nuts. It takes so much energy, so much energy. And when we are always feeling like we have to defend ourselves from all the information coming in, we can do one of two things. We can either shut down and our mind go back to that peaceful country road, or we can get very hyper and it become very hard to settle because we're frantically looking for that escape, for something that will shut everything off, if even for a moment. So I just want you to think about these things the rest of the day. Let your imagination take over. There's also a lot of videos you can search for on YouTube about sensory overstimulation that will help you really appreciate things from the lived experience. All right, so that's it for this week's Free Friday Tidbit. This whole month, we're going to be dealing with the sensory systems. And next week, we're going to be talking about the struggles if you're either overly sensitive or not sensitive enough to things like touch and texture, things like that. So that's our focus next week. For this week, I invite you to come back. Well, we're at the weekend, so I hope you have a fantastic weekend. But come back on Monday to watch another episode of Living with FASD and enjoy your week. And don't forget, if you want to head to Amazon, you can check out my book, which is, excuse me, Sip by Sip, Candid Conversations with People Diagnosed as Adults with Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorders, or FASD. So it is available on Amazon. Booksellers around the world can order it as well if you prefer getting it from, supporting local business. That's cool too. And I really appreciate your faithfulness. And welcome to November. We're all the way in the heart of autumn, right? As you can see by my autumn colors. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week.